Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for today's Monday Mystery Reveal, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing. So what I've got in here, I'm hoping it's what I think it is anyway, but I'm pretty sure. Right, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be unboxing this. This is just revealing a new figure. In fact, it's not a new figure. I'll explain that a little bit more in a second, but basically what I'm going to be doing is revealing something new to my collection. And rather than me just opening it and doing a video on it, I like to do things like this. So I'm going to give you loads of clues as to probably the character, to be fair, of what this particular figure is. So hopefully I can give you some clues which you'll be able to get, and I'll explain a little bit more about it as I'm doing it. So if you're new to the channel, you may have noticed, in fact, yeah, if you're new to the channel, this is probably going to be quite, right, what's he doing that for? What's that sort of thing for? Like I just said, I've already got this figure 4 or 5 times maybe, and actually the figure in the box isn't that good. The figure in the box is quite poor condition. It's really damaged. It's not complete. However, the reason why I'm buying this, it isn't for the figure, it is for the box. And the box is, this is where I perhaps go a little bit crazy. This is where sometimes collectors just have their own little niches, or perhaps need a bit of help, or whatever you want to call it. I'm quite happy to go with whatever, but what I like to do is I like to collect variants. I really like to collect variants of Generation 1 figures. So this is, again, it's a box Generation 1 figure. I'm quite lucky to get this, to be fair, especially because when you see the condition of the box, it's in really good condition for as old as it is. It's one of the first. So let's give you a bit of a clues on the characters to help you out. He was a Diaclone figure before he was a Transformer, so that means obviously he was pre-Transformers. He came out before 1984, so that means if he's a Transformer, he was going to be one of the, could be one of 2 factions obviously, but here's a big clue for you. He was one of the ones that was on the Ark, so he is an Autobot. The character himself, really in the cartoon anyway, in the first few cartoons, huge part, very big part in the cartoons, nowhere near as big in the comics. And that's just off the top of my head. He was in the comics, of course he was. He's in the comics, he was one of the first characters, but in the cartoon, the Sunbow cartoon, he was much bigger presence, very much so. I can't think, I think he was in the movie very briefly, but I don't remember him doing too much. So he definitely was in the movie because we've had a retro reissue of him. The figure itself has had multiple, the character itself has had multiple issues of him down the Generations toy line, right into the War for Cybertron toy line. And yeah, we're always going to get versions of this. This figure's had a masterpiece version of himself. It is the one I thought it was, that's okay. The reason why I'm saying that is because I've been a bit nuts on eBay, because January is obviously always a good time to buy things on eBay. And this again was exactly that. So yeah, most recently a newer version of him released last year, but much to the annoyance of a lot of people, because you couldn't get this particular character by himself. He was in, this is the, you're going to get this straight away now, but it doesn't matter. He was in a 5-pack, and everybody wanted the 5-pack just for this. Even though they redecoed everything else, everybody just wanted this guy. And fair play to the seller, he has packaged this very well. He's put an extra bit of what's it called there, foam around there. I'm sure you've already guessed, so that's why I just carried on opening it up. So the character is Hound, and of course he was in the 5 Autobot Stand United pack, was it called? And he's looks like he's wrapped it incredibly well inside as well. I wonder if he's watching. I'll send him a nice message anyway and tell him I've done this. But this box, it's a vintage 84 box, and it's a definite vintage 84 box because it's one of the first releases, and it is stunning, and it's such in a great condition. But for those of you who know things about boxes, and for those who've been watching me for quite some time, it's the TM box. There you go, which means, of course, that these came out before they were trademarked. All Transformers figures now have the R at the end. Even some of the figures in 84 had the R in them, but the very first ones, before they got the trademark, came with the TM on the box. So yes, it's a definite, this would be a pre-rub figure, because again, 84, no rub signs, with the TM. And he's boxed it up incredibly. I'm saying he, I don't know who it is exactly, boxed it up incredibly well. Very I'm so impressed with this. It doesn't have an inner bubble, but he's put some foam at the bottom, so I can still display the figure because I'm not going to have too much use to it. It doesn't come with the instructions, but I've got a set of instructions, a couple of accessories, and the figure itself, you'll see, because I'm going to do a video now, is unfortunately, he's missing a wing mirror, he's missing a few things, but I'm going to open him up and show you anyway, just because to see if the stamp is different. If it's got a circle stamp on it, then that's an even earlier version, but that's something perhaps for another video. But it's definitely, as I say, a TM box. That is why I went for it. You can see what I mean. It's not in the greatest condition. It's not about the figure at all. It is just about, yeah, it's a first edition, not circle stamp, so it's not a Takara one, but it's just a TM boxed hound. There you go, guys. Right, if you're new, or even if you're not, please do not put the name of the figure in the thing. If you guess it right, just put the time that you guessed it, or put your wrong guesses. That's absolutely fine, but I'm happy with that. You'll sit inside that box, and maybe I'll find a better conditioned one later on. But there you go. This it was, of course, Hound from 1984. Thanks for playing, guys. Take care.